Well, good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Live Life Driven. What a wonderful week we're on. I stay out of the news because every time I get on the news, it depresses me. There's something else crazy going on. And I'm just enjoying my life up here in Montana, as you all know. So happy to be coming to you with another show, Live Life Driven. I have my good friend Leslie on the line today. How are you today?
Good morning, Jim, and I'm with you. Man, I can only take so much news these days as well.
I think that we're so focused in our businesses and what we're doing and our helping of others that who has time to go down that rabbit hole?
I agree. I stay more positive, more optimistic, more creative when I'm not plugged into the news every day.
Yeah, I know that we reminisce once in a while, and you were on my show. It's been over a year now. And, I was just thinking about this call today leading up to it. I thought, how awesome is it that when you were on my show, we talked about, your background and how you got to where you were today, but you were talking about a book that you were working on, that you're going to come out with a book. And then I got your email not too long ago, Jim, my book's coming out. Can I be back on the show? I'm like, of course you can. And I'm so happy for you that you have this book coming out.
Well, actually, and thank you. And the book launched on February 23rd. I launched it on my birthday. And I humbly will share that within 21 hours of launch, it was a #1 international bestseller on Amazon. The launch exceeded my wildest dreams. And I have some pretty wild dreams. So the response from the book continues to be so positive. It's called Outrageous Achievement by Leslie Zann. The ebook is available now on Amazon. We've submitted the print copy, and I went into the studio, Jim, and did the Audible. They're very backlogged right now. So currently there's the ebook, but people don't need a Kindle. They'll download it on their Mac or their phone or their tablet. And it's just been really fun to hear the response from people as they move through the book. So dreams are coming true, Jim. Just set that goal, get after it, and make it happen.
I love hearing that. This show's all about being driven, living your life driven. And, the amount of work that goes into putting a book out, in the back of my mind, I've been talking about it to myself for a long time now. Can you just walk us through those steps? Like, how do you go about, okay, I'm going to write a book. Okay, what am I going to write about? And how do you get that drive to actually start writing it and getting it out there?
That's so interesting. I was just on a podcast of authors and wannabe authors, and we were talking about this very same thing. So as you may remember, I've been a coach to entrepreneurs and salespeople for 30 years. And so the idea behind the book was to take the concepts that I really felt landed best, really inspired people to go from thought to action, and put it into a book. So I really didn't think long. Once I made the decision to write the book, I started finding out how to write a book. Like, what does that take? Who do I need? Whose help do I need? So I'm very disciplined and I'm not wishy-washy. So once I make up a decision, I move. So I found a copywriter. So I wrote every word in the book, but I found a copywriter that not only shared my vision for the book, but would be compassionately harsh and a good editor for me. And he made he made me such a better writer and really helped the book be the best that it could be. So I was thinking, who do I need to surround myself with? First of all, so Cliff was the first choice. And then I had to time block. So and Cliff is telling me, he's been doing this for many years. Some people like to weave an hour in every day. Some people like to write in blocks. It became very clear to me early on that I'm a write in blocks type of gal. Mm-hmm. I give and coach and teach all day long. My head's always around my clients. It was very hard for me to stop and get into that space. So for 9 months, it took me 9 months to write the book. It's 300 pages. It took me 9 months. I got up at 4 a.m. almost every morning. And that was a commitment to do my writing. And it was interesting on this whole idea of having a disciplined habit. The mindset I came into writing every morning was so important. It's the middle of the night. Hell, I was up before my cat. So as I came into my office to write, I didn't come in and go, oh my gosh, I got to write today.
Yeah.
I started playing a little game. I would stand outside my office door, and before I would even come in here, I would throw my arms up and I would say, who knows what fascinating stuff is going to come out of my head this morning? I mean, I really had to get in that, make it fun and make it creative and make it interesting and make it joyful. And then I would come in here and I would set my alarm and I would write for at least 2 hours. And a trick for people who are writing, it doesn't, I mean, at least it worked for me. Sometimes we get stuck. For me, I learned a real lesson of I can push away, meaning I could push away, maybe put on Bruno Mars and dance around the office, get my energy flowing. I can push away, but I don't walk away. So I didn't leave the office. There is a bathroom in here. So I didn't leave the office. So I learned a real good difference for any hard task or any task that we want to do. It doesn't have to be a book. It could be writing a blog. It could be preparing for a speech. It could be preparing for a talk in your office, whatever. Pushing away as compared to walking away became a motivating driver for me and a really great lesson.
That's a really good point, by the way, just in business in general, especially, we're all working from home right now because of COVID and we've developed new routines and this might stick for a long time. I walk away because I'm distracted. Maybe the kids are doing something in the other room and it's like, oh, I'm going to walk away. You don't necessarily always come back, So pushing away and not leaving the office is a really good point.
Yep. Now, granted, I don't have children, but I have been on home isolation and I have worked out of my home office for many years. So I've picked up many tricks throughout the years to be disciplined and productive and get done what I want to get done. Like this whole idea of multitasking, I can throw out a load of laundry and come back and get work done. Mm-hmm. But what happens for too many people is when things get hard or it's a project they don't want to do or a call they don't want to make or something that's making them uncomfortable, then all of a sudden the sock drawer needs organized, right? Or all of a sudden we got to clean out the garage or dust off the deck or, clean out the refrigerator. And so there's a difference between multitasking and purposefully distracting yourself because it's hard or it's uncomfortable or it's not easy.
Yeah. I think that we do that in general, not just when we work from our homes, but sometimes the office. There's the old water cooler, jokes. You go over there and you get distracted by the water cooler, then you wind up in gossip and stuff. And I think discipline is just so important in your workday. I don't know about you, but I get up, I set a time that I'm going to start work, I get a shower, I put on my outfit for the day, and I dress for work even though I'm only going upstairs to be sitting in my home, right?
Having the mindset, again, having been an entrepreneur, worked from home for many years, but I have that same mindset, right? I come in, this is work time. This is my office. This is my space. It's set up like an office. It functions like an office. I have the things that I had in my office when I did have an outside office. And so, and really it's the mindset of, is this my work or is just something to keep me busy? Or what is the priority that I put on my work, especially when we're entrepreneurs? If we're an employee working from home, well, your boss is probably monitoring your productivity, sure, right? And they're getting into some kind of rhythm of that. But when we're an entrepreneur, there isn't a boss. Like we must harness the discipline to get done what we choose to get done. And part of that is when we come into our office, making that commitment that this is work time.
Yeah. I always like to add a little value on this particular show, which you're doing right now about working from home. The other thing I want to point out, we're on Zoom together because it's easier for me to conduct an interview. I can see your face. But what I've noticed about you today is that you look wonderful. You've got great lighting. You've got great background. And you're present in the moment on the Zoom call. And the more people I've been interviewing lately that are good at this, they've taken the time to enhance their own Zoom presentation. And I think it's really important. I had I had a guest on a couple weeks ago, Brian Bogart. He said that he got a big job just because he came across better in the Zoom call than anybody else. Dressed for the occasion, proper lighting, etc. I see the same in you right now, and I think that that's a good helpful hint for people working from home. Dress up for Zoom. Get your lighting on.
when COVID started over a year ago, and you may remember I'm a professional speaker. So really what I had historically spent most of my time doing is getting on an airplane and going someplace and speaking. And even though I had done many Zoom calls and I was comfortable with Zoom, and I had some lights, I had some diva lights and whatnot. When COVID happened, I really made the decision to pivot and made the decision that I want to come across for my clients in the best way possible. And actually, Jim, this is just phase one. You should see what I'm setting up now for phase two. But I do have good lights. They actually drop from the ceiling.
Yep.
I need everything to be very automated. And I have a 2-bedroom high rise, and this is not only my office, it's my yoga studio, and I do a lot of things in here. So I needed it to be functional. So I wanted the good lighting. I wanted the good backdrop. I wanted the good mic. The most important thing I would tell the audience is lighting is the most important thing. You want to be well lit. Yeah. Second most important thing, if you're going to go on Zoom, is what are we looking at behind you? If you have a messy office, or you have a busy wall, or you just don't have any options, I don't have any options. So you can hang a curtain. It could be as easy as PVC pipe and hanging a decent curtain so you have a solid backdrop.
Yeah.
Behind my backdrop here, this isn't really a high rise. I mean, it looks like a high rise because I set it up so well, right? But behind my high rise is my Murphy bed.
Yeah.
So this is also my guest room when my mom comes to visit.
Yeah.
So taking the steps, there's so many classes, YouTube's. Like I hired a guy who's super good, Kalen Huntress. He's out of New Zealand. He's just been marvelous in supporting me in the tips and the tools that I choose to incorporate into my Zoom presentations.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Well, I'm glad we can have that. Let's talk about your book. I know you gave the title already, but let's give the title again and tell us a little bit about what to expect if we pick it up or grab it on the internet.
Well, it's called Outrageous Achievement. And what began the journey was my curiosity, Jim, of why so many people have big dreams and yet so few people pursue them. It's always been a driver for me. And so if you recall my story 10 years ago, big unexpected divorce, big life change, really took hold of where I was in my life. At the time I was 50, and realized unexpectedly that I had been settling in some major life areas. I realized I had been settling in my marriage, and I had been settling in my career. At the time I had a corporate gig, and even though it was a good corporate gig, I really loved being an entrepreneur. I was settling in my health. I was a good 25 pounds heavier than I am now and a lot less strong. So this realization sent me on a journey of not only self-discovery, because I had been doing personal development a lot and had been for many years, but really making the choice that I'm going to live courageously, and I am not going to settle in any area of my life just because it's uncomfortable or unknown or makes me vulnerable or sets me up for betrayal or sets me up to get knocked down. And that really was the impetus for the book. There's so many stories in the book of the actions I chose to show myself that I can be courageous, and the joy and the empowerment that comes from being courageous. And the very first thing I did when this whole idea came to me of how risk adverse I'd become at 50, and when I was a little girl, I was a gymnast. I was fearless. Through school and through my 20s and 30s, I was what I would consider fairly fearless. And how did I wind up at 50 so risk adverse? And I wanted to change that. So I had this idea, I'm going to do the scariest thing I can think of. And the scariest thing I could think of was jump out of an airplane.
Yeah.
And I kept talking myself out of it, but I went and I did it. And I'm not telling the audience they need to go jump out of a plane, but I'm saying what I discovered was the perception of what's possible is on the other side of fear. You only get to live life with the zest and the joy and the empowerment of your full potential if you're prepared to move through the fears.
I love it. I love it. I think so many people just get stuck in